MG up 1-0, but then vVv came back with Murder taking out both In Control and LZ Gamer. So right now, Murder up against EG Machine on MLG Antigua Shipyard, Game 4.
Yeah, so game four in this best of seven series, and vVv up 2-1, as it is going to be another Terran versus Zerg, interestingly enough, as Murder may prove to be the Zerg killer once again as game four does get underway. Let's remember, if Murder does win game four, vVv will be up 3-1 in this best of seven series. Otherwise, Machine can try to even things out and make it essentially a new best of three, as we now have Machine spawning as the pink Zerg player here on the bottom right hand side or at the 6 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Murder spawning as the purple Terran at the 11 or 12 o'clock position. Full cross spawns once again. Terran versus Zerg. And why do you think Machine chose this map?
Well, I mean, I think he wants to be safe from any sort of early pressure, and this is a map, a big macro map. There's a lot of room between the two bases, and it takes a long time to get across the map here. So he's going to be able to macro up quite a bit. It might be a little bit difficult to take a third base, especially if Murder again goes for that Hellion play, which we saw in the last game. Terran players so very good at using those Hellions to control creep and to control that third. So we'll see if Machine is able to get an early third or whether he tries to tech off of two bases. But I think for a macro player like Machine, this sort of map definitely right the kind of map that he wants to play.
All right, we'll see what the strategy will be as we see an early SCV scout, or perhaps it's going to be a low ground barracks play. I have seen some Terran players do exactly that, and it will be a low ground barracks play, setting up a barracks here in order to send Marines out a little bit more quickly. He is not halting his SCV production though, so we'll see if he does go for perhaps a second barracks. No, gonna just place down a refinery. He wants to perhaps scout out with that SCV and a Marine and feign pressure with a bunker and a Marine.
Yeah, an interesting choice once again. He's not going to wall off, so he's going to allow Machine to see that the refinery is done, though Machine did send out an early enough drone that I think he could have been able to get in there anyway, even if Murder did decide to wall off. I'm not quite sure the timing on that second supply depot, depending on how early a Terran wants to cut SCVs to make it, but Machine is going for that pretty standard hatch first play, but has actually made his pool before making any other drones, so 15 hatch and 14 pool, I believe, and he might make that pool just a little bit earlier because he sees the low ground barracks. So just being a little bit safe.
Yeah, I think that was a really, really safe call. I've seen players, after they spot the low ground barracks, still go for extractor then pool, and I kind of question it just a little, as it's a little bit more risky. You don't have, you kind of lose some early drones, and then if you do try to harvest gas, that's going to end up hurting you even further, as you may not have enough minerals for, say, to train up a queen or anything else, as we now see an SCV kind of stuck for some reason, finally making its way back, as we now see 5 drones now down, and perhaps Machine will be able to set this up, and it looks like the bunker cannot be placed down. Oh, no, it cannot, just because the creep did spread over there in time.
And this was the play I talked about in that first game, where Murder uses these first few Marines and that SCV to try to set up a bunker here, but I'm not sure that this bunker is going to finish, and he's trying to goad a little bit of a reaction out of the Zerg player, and an overreaction on pulled drones, or maybe taking down a drone or two, but this hasn't really worked out for him anytime he's done it. It's a little bit not as sharp as it could be, so he's going to lose those Marines, the SCV, and then also a little bit of the minerals from that bunker, so overall a big loss for Machine there in that early exchange, and hasn't taken down too much in the way of Zerg units so far.
We'll see what Murder's going to follow this up with. It does look like it is going to be Reactor Hellions. There are Zerglings now running out across the map, and a Machine being very, very cold and calculating. He didn't overreact. He didn't train up too many Zerglings. He did pull those drones off, so he did lose a little bit of mining time. But overall, I do believe that Machine is still ahead at this stage, especially with 27 food compared to 35. Hellions are there just in time to meet and greet the Zergling, take it down. But the Zerglings are going to be sure to be all across the map in different locations and giving plenty of map control.
Yeah, one thing is Machine does not yet have a gas, so he's not going to be able to put on any sort of counter pressure with speedlings, and we've seen more and more Zerg players just delaying that gas, delaying that speed, knowing that my opponent probably going for more of a macro play. To counter that, I'm not going to go for any sort of tech play, I'm just going to macro up myself, but it'll be interesting to see whether he's able to get down that third, like I talked about before. Murder does have these Hellions out, so he's going to be able to control creep a little bit, and he's going to be able to pick off any drones that try to head towards that third without an escort.
We'll see what's going to happen here. There are 3 Hellions now, a 4th Hellion about to join this party. And Murder showing that he was still pretty good with Hellions in the last matchup, able to get down a couple creep tumors. Machine does have a nice harvester advantage, 44 to 23, and now the Hellions may just simply try to drive up there. There is a queen now in position, and now we see a little bit of a battle back and forth, but still a really heavy harvester advantage, 24 to 43, as we are now up to 5 Hellions.
Yeah, that's pretty insane, but it looks like Murder going to take a quick third behind this, so if he's able to get that third orbital up, and if he's able to defend it, he could definitely have a bit of an advantage here. It looks like one queen will go down, so Murder going to be able to take down a quick queen there, and also taking down drones, and he's going to force a lot of lings out for Machine. Machine creating 8 lings now. Those are lings he does not want to make, especially with the queens and the spine crawlers he's already invested in. He doesn't have speed, so these Hellions can be very good, especially off on the edge of creep for Murder. But Murder gonna have to go home with his tail between his legs a little bit here, as some of those Hellions are low.
Yeah, we'll see what Murder's going to do to follow this up. I would have really liked to have seen a medevac or a starport right behind this. There isn't much in the base of Machine to really deal with those Hellions. Yeah. We haven't seen a tech to roaches at all, but I do like the fact that Murder does have this third command center already completed, so really playing a very, very heavy, almost MMA style, doing a very, very quick 3 bases, and now Murder may be able to win out on this macro war. As we can see that the harvester count is 47 to 30. There are 3 mules in play right now, but with that additional mule or with that additional orbital command, he should be able to catch up and perhaps even take the lead, as he will be able to train up units back at home and while training up more units.
Yep, Machine actually took all 4 of his gases, and he got speed for his lings, so he wasn't able to defend very well against those Hellions without speedlings, but speed is about to kick in, so we will have those. He also got lair as well, so Baneliness going down, and he has the level 1 carapace upgrade already done, so he's going to be very good against any sort of, actually it's on the way, about a third of the way done. So these 1-1 sort of style with these lings going to sort of crush any of those mid-game timings we talked about in the last game.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen here. Double spine crawlers on the ramp. Zergling caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. No siege tanks as of yet. We are going into starport, and I believe I saw a starport, but there is no actual reactor. Where is it? There.
Yeah, the starport's creating on the reactor right now, so he's going to be set up for the double medevacs to come out. Combat Shield is about to be done, and Stim has already completed, so he's setting up his techs pretty decent. He has still a low SCV count, 61 to 44, so he's going to have to sort of rely on the fact that he has a little bit more tech than the Zerg player at the moment, as Machine basically waiting for that 1-1. Now getting a nice surround, or attempted to, on these Hellions, but Murder doing a decent job microing these Hellions. Looks like he's going to take down a lot more lings there than he possibly should have, and still keeps 4 of those Hellions alive.
Yeah, the Hellions now going to try to control the creep tumors. One creep tumor does go down, doesn't lose any Hellions, and somehow Murder's staying in this, as Machine finally establishing up his base, but he still has a nice harvester advantage, 69 drones versus 47 SCVs. There are 3 mules in play. The income is surprisingly about the same. You got to remember, less diminishing returns on the mineral patches, 24 mineral patches compared to 16.
Yeah, and as long as Murder keeps triple pumping out these SCVs, he should be able to catch up, though it looks like Machine is coming out with another 7 drones, so he's going to be at 75 drones, about the 12-minute mark. That's a great spot to be at in this matchup. He's got his tech on the way, he's got pathogen glands about to come out with 4 infestors. He also has some spine crawlers in that main mineral line, so he's going to be protected against drops. I really like his position at this point. Really needs to keep that creep spread going, but 1-1 has now completed. He's working on the level 2 carapace, and as soon as these infestors come out with those pathogen glands, he's going to have the opportunity to put on a little bit of pressure here against Murder.
We'll see what Zerglings are going to be able to do against these destructible rocks. It's going to take some time before they do fall. Marines may make their way over. A siege tank now going to get in position and perhaps get in a little bit of damage as Hellions on the high ground. Unfortunately, the splash damage for those Hellions do not line up oh so well when they are taking down those destructible rocks there, as the Zerglings of Machine now attempting to take down and establish his own fourth base. So it is now even on food, 129 versus 129. Murder, however, is supply blocked. We'll see when he does start to build additional supply depots.
And a big drop coming into the third for Murder here, as he might be able to take down a lot of the drones here, but a nice fungal goes off by Machine, so he's really going to try to limit the amount of damage that's done here. We'll see how many drones that Murder was able to take down. So far, he's killed 11. I believe that he's killed 1 or 2 in the early game, so he took down 8 or 9 drones there. I'm not sure that it was worth all of those units that came out of the medevac, and Machine was able to shut that down with just a fungal or 2.
Yeah, but nicely done by Murder, saving both of those medevacs. They should be able to be repaired and healed back up. Level 1 weapons and armor upgrades now completed. Level 2 should be starting, as we are now going into another command center once more. So we are going to be 4 bases. We are now also going into Hive Tech as well.
Wow.
So Hive Tech and Spire. So Broodlords could be coming in. There's only one starport training up medevacs. The siege tanks apparently, they may be caught and they're maybe stuck back there after a missile turret being built. And Murder may wonder where all of his siege tanks are. I don't actually think he can get those siege tanks out.
Yeah, you mentioned the missile turret. That's something I have to be a little bit critical of Murder on. He's made, I believe, 8 missile turrets at this point, and there are no mutas coming in. There's a Spire, but I believe that's going to be for Broodlords. Pretty quick ones, as we see a drop here in the south, but that's a lot of minerals to sink into missile turrets sort of blindly with no mutas on the way.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to be happening here. The Marines are just trying to fight up. There's another fungal growth. There's some infested Terrans, and oh, one more. There you go. The infested Terrans taking down the medevac. And we'll see what's happening next as Hellions once again retaking the center. Banelings are in the center. They are burrowed, ready to detonate at a moment's notice as the creep spread is starting to spread.
And I think Machine has gotten the message. He knows that his opponent Murder is going for a lot of drops here, so he's just adding more and more spine crawlers. If you check the third, he's already got 3 spine crawlers there. He's got great spread on his overlords as well to try to see any sort of medevacs that are coming in. He's got lings all around the map, so his vision is great at the moment, and he's very, very safe against those drops, which Murder has been employing. And something that we've sort of called for Murder to do a little bit, but I feel like he's going to have to drop in multiple positions or do something to really disrupt the economy of Machine, who's already has that Hive Tech and already has the Greater Spire halfway done at the 16-minute mark.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. Murder trying to take his 4th base, unable to do so. A Zergling burrowed underneath. Baneling's not too far behind. There's another drop. The Spinecrawler, Marines, and the Queen is going to fall. Spinecrawler 1 does go down. Another Spinecrawler may fall as the Zerglings do arrive. The Baneling's unable to get there. Infestor's a little bit too slow as Murder still not realizing, finally taking down that missile turret. The siege tanks could make their way out. Still 2 siege tanks on hiatus. What is happening here? The Banelings are now going to die as well, but the Banelings may actually deal some damage, taking down a Hellion as well.
Yeah, I think that was a smart move. Murder didn't lose that drop in the south. It didn't do too much damage, but we saw him throw away drops earlier, and he has to keep these alive, especially with no mutas. If you're playing against an infestor-based player who goes immediately to this Greater Hive or the Greater Spire and all these Broodlords as 8 are coming out, you really have to save those drops. You can't afford for them to get caught by fungal growth, so Murder has to keep that alive, and as Machine pushes out here, I think he should definitely unload that drop and force Machine to really multitask.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen here in just a moment. You can see another medevac escaping at 6 hit points. Once again, a fungal not going to be able to hit it in time. There are Zerglings, but the true story is going to be the 8 Broodlords, and this is going to come as a shock to Murder. Murder has not seen a single air unit besides an Overlord, and now all of a sudden there's going to be 8 Broodlords. No Vikings. Zergling's going to clean up the center as the bunker now trying to be established. Siege tanks are going to be in position only to get destroyed by Broodlings.
Yeah, both players maxed out here and have quite a bit of banks, so we're going to have a big encounter here and then a remax, and I think that he has to take down all these Broodlords. He cannot afford for those Broodlords to survive. We see the Infestors coming in from behind, hoping to lay down some fungal growths. A few snipes going off on the Broodlords. A few of them do go down, but they are just doing so much damage. There's some big fungal growths by those Infestors. A burrow in the Infestors, going to keep those alive. So he's able to take down a few of those Broodlords, but there are still 5 Broodlords there, and he's cleaned up the majority of the MMM ball.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen here. You can take a look, 143 versus 162. There is a planetary fortress, but the Broodlords are still dropping their precious cargo straight into here. The Marines and the Marauders now attempting to hit, and we are going to have a hit at the third or the fourth base now, as both sides need to get remaxed. The Zerglings and Marines are over here. It looks like the Zerglings are going to be able to finish this off. A Queen now may fall, as well as the Marines and Marauders are trying to engage. More Corruptors trying to attack as well, as the Broodlords are still engaging in the center. 2 Vikings going to clean up many of these Broodlords. The planetary fortress may fall. The Ghosts are not even bothering to join in on the fight. Not quite sure why, as they could really help out with a couple sniper rounds.
Yeah, these Broodlords just owning the center of the map right now, and here come the Corruptors hoping to take down these Vikings, but there are just too many Vikings right now to take on. But we have more Infestors coming out, and it looks like a ton of Lings coming out as well. All these Broodlords will be cleaned up, and it sort of took out most of the army of murders, 143 to 157. Machine did not lose that southern base, so still on 4 strong mining bases here. Might want to actually think about taking a 5th at this point, but he was able to shut down that middle base for Murder.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen next. Zerglings now trying to make their way into that third base. Zerglings trying to catch up to those SCVs. 1 or 2 SCVs may get taken out, but I believe the siege tank is there ready. There's a couple burrowed there, but there are enough missile turrets nearby. Nope. Just outside of sight range, so 1 burrowed bait or Zergling on the ramp. Gonna get back up to full hit points.
And a lot of SCVs taken down. Right now it's 80 to 46, so Machine is in a commanding lead. And unlike LZ Gamer, who was never able to really remax after all that economic pressure, Machine immediately remaxes 196 to 160, and he can just throw more and more waves at Murder. He's already taken down 1 base, and he can basically starve out the Terran player on these 3 bases. Some great fungos going off in a big encounter in the center.
Yeah, there we go. We did see an EMP. Vikings now taking down multiple units. The Infestors don't have that much energy, so they're going to be forced to pull back. And an Infestor without energy is just a waste of food, as the Vikings are now looking for new targets. We'll see where they're going to go. Ultralists are now making their way onto the field. This hatchery looks like it will never see the light of day as it gets taken out, but in comes some fresh Infestors with those pathogen glands. And now what is happening here? Marauders and Marines gonna use those stim packs. Ultralists are in position. EMP Shockwave not hitting their targets. Some infested Terrans now coming in as the Corruptors are getting taken down. Multiple Ghosts with multiple snipe. Banelings not finding their target as Murder now takes the food lead.
Yeah, I think there's just enough Ghosts and Marauders to take on those Ultras, so not a great tech switch by Machine. He's going to have to come out with Lings here and try to surround this army, but there's just still so many medevacs that it has a lot of energy as well, so Kiting trying to focus down these Ultras, and it looks like Machine might be able to clean this up at this point. He's got a lot of Lings here, forced around, but those Lings not making their way into this encounter, but I think Murder is going to go down. We'll see what he has back at home. He at least needs to retreat with all these medevacs and Vikings. Cannot afford to lose those to a fungal growth or 2.
Yeah, all of those units now finally picked back up. I was wondering why Murder wasn't picking up his units. You can now see that there is 2 fresh medevacs ready to go. All of these medevacs need to get back home. They need to be repaired. 1 fungal growth would be an absolute nightmare, as Murder once again with the food lead, even though he's behind in harvesters.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that Ultra tech switch there. Again, with the snipes and then the Marauders so good against Ultras. The Marauders, they're 3-3 at this point, so Murder has been upgrading the entire game. He just has 1 or 2 siege tanks back at home for defense, and it looks like he will be going for this MMM style, and now loading up a few more medevacs, hoping to drop this top base, and I think this could do a lot of damage. Machine is not in good position to defend against this. He's actually got his Lings sort of babysitting some medevacs in the southwest corner, so Murder, I think, is going to definitely be able to take down this hatchery in the northeast.
We'll see what's going to happen here. Marauders and Marines, not a full load in 2 medevacs, but just going to be enough to finish this off. Drones getting taken down here. Murder cleaning this up. Perhaps going to take down the Spine Crawler as well. There it goes. And now the drones are on the run. Zergling's going to try to make their way over, but it is not going to be in time. The hatchery will fall as the Broodlings are there to try to deal some damage, but not much damage will be dealt, as we now see Marines and Marauders snipes coming in once again. Vikings are in position. Another fungal growth coming in, completely melting this attack force here, and it looks like Murder got the necessary damage.
Yeah, so many good fungal growths there, and for a while the medevacs were just healing through it, but once you introduce banelings to the equation, they can take care of those Marines and Marauders very quickly, and Machine was able to clean up that center, but now we've sort of reset. We see Murder about to take the center base once again. Machine just lost the base, and we've got another drop in the third of Machine, so I'm not sure whether he's taking too much economic damage. Murder not really controlling this well, just attacking with one Marine and Marauder at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. Murder could really have already taken out this hatchery. What's going on? The Marines and Marauders now finally attacking over here. His units are engaging. Banelings are going to find their target and melt this entire group. And Murder perhaps focusing his time and energy into another location, into another failed drop over here on the bottom left-hand side of the map.
Just not great control in these drops. We feel like he could do so much more damage if he was really just fine, and that's something that if you haven't played in a while, controlling all these different fronts, all these different drops can be a huge challenge. We saw he was actually dropping the southwest position as well, but he met a number of spine crawlers. Right now the Harvester count 57 drones to 46 SCVs, but again, when you count all those mules, as there are 3 mules out at the moment, keeping things very even for the Terran player.
Yeah, Marauders and Marines being very smart, trying to fight on the ramp. Zergli is now once again going to get in there. Medevac picking up all the Marines except one, and they are going to once again try to retreat home. The siege tanks have reestablished. There is an infestor in that group, and it looks like the siege tanks are going to be able to clean that up, but accidentally taking down some SCVs in the engagement as well.
Yeah, now he's got another big group of Marauders and Ghosts in the center, so we'll see what Machine has to actually counter this. Right now, unit-wise, Machine has 63 Lings, 10 Infestors, and a number of Banelings, so he's actually abandoned his Tier 3 tech, no Broodlords and no Ultras. He's just working off of Lings, Infestors, and Banelings, and we'll see how successful it is.
Yeah, right now, Murder definitely needs a Raven. Those burrowed infestors really causing problems. He cannot afford to waste scans. He is behind on Harvesters just barely, and he really wants to use Mules, as that is one of the great strengths of Terran.
Yeah, and it looks like he's trying to focus and take the center position, and from here he can sort of control some paths of attack. Machine not going to be able to get around the center very easily. See Murder stemming a small group of units, hoping to draw them into the siege tanks. And that's exactly what happens. Those Banelings, a ton of them going down, no damage being done for the Zerg player, and Murder with a small win there. He's macroing up 179 to 171, and this game is going back and forth. Now we see a big surround coming in here from Machine.
Infestors now trying to push their way in. Banelings not finding their target, but the fungal growths do, as the medevacs are able to pick up a lot of the units. Zerglings are now swarming in again. No planetary fortress this time. Siege tanks continuing to perhaps try to siege up. A lot of infested Terrans to deal with. Over 20 as the Marines and Marauders are trying to counter this. Machine does have the slight food advantage, as more infested Terrans did come in to try to attack, taking down multiple SCVs, and it looks like those infested Terrans will get cleaned up.
There's going to be another 60 Lings basically on the field in just a moment, so Machine's going to be able to throw more and more waves at his Terran opponent. I think that's because he's been able to get another base up and running. He did lose that one in the northeast, but the one in the southwest has been working for a few minutes now, and he's actually establishing another in the main on the western position. So Murder going to try to shut down these bases, and he's in line here for a nice surround by Machine.
We'll see what's going to happen here. The Marauders and the Marines trying to pull away. No fungal growth's going to try to back up against the wall. The Marines and the Marauders are up against the wall here. Are they going to pick up? A lot of the units do pick up, and they may go to the high ground straight up. And now, like, shooting units straight down on the bottom side, not being able to get attacked back. Nicely done, but the units will be coming in and perhaps trying to flank. And there you go, picking up the units, saving them once more. And Murder doing a good job keeping his units alive, as both sides have comparable size armies still at this stage.
Yeah, back and forth, back and forth. I thought it was an interesting decision there. Machine went for Infested Terran instead of Fungals. I feel like a Fungal or two there could have taken down that entire army, including the Medevacs, but instead, Murder sort of picks up and escapes with a few of those Medevacs. He doesn't have as many as he had before. He just has 7 now, only 3 or 4 with his army, but he's looking to keep constantly aggressive here. He has taken the center. He's got bunkers up and missile turrets, so no burrowed infestors or burrowed banelings is going to be a problem in the center of the map, and he's running pretty well off this 4th base.
Yeah, but right now, oh, a lot of Infested Terrans are now going to be able to spawn here in just a moment. Infested Terrans now trying to take down the Orbital Command. Orbital Command needs to be repaired. It looks like it is being repaired. Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is enough, and in time, as all the Infested Terrans once again, or the Infestors once again, retreating, and you cannot allow a Zerg player, if you have any chance of victory, to keep on just recycling their energy on those infestors. Infestors trading energy for minerals now, and a Zerg player can do that all day.
Yeah, I feel like, oh, failing mines going off there, taking down a few Marines, but I feel like Murder has to make a good decision here. I think he has. He's going to push down into the southwest corner. He's going to try to cut off. There's 3 bases down here that Zerg has that are up and running. If he's able to take down any 1 or 2 of those, it could spell trouble for Machine, as Machine's been able to macro up, and just constantly resupply as we have another set of infested Terran hoping to take on this Orbital Command at the 4th for Murder, and Murder is all mined out in his 3 other bases, so right now he is not mining anywhere.
Yeah, this is looking really, really bad. Zerglings are now able to get inside the base. Supply depots are up, though. Some Zerglings going to be able to deal some damage, and I believe the Ghost is going to finish off the rest of the units. There is still 1 burrowed Zergling right there, preventing Machine from, Machine, preventing Murder from being able to land, and we'll see what's going to happen here. It is 3 bases versus 3 siege tanks, Marauders, and Marines. A drone going to get quickly taken out here, and perhaps another engagement as there are Broodlords in the air.
Yeah, it looks like 7 Broodlords right now, and they're in great position. As Marines not going to be able to get on the high ground, and they're going to be able to take on these siege tanks anytime the siege tanks get close there with those Broodlings. They're taken down quite easily. A number of infested eggs going off there as well, drawing some of that siege tank fire. Now we've got Banelings moving in. They're hoping to make contact with all those Ghosts and Marines. They do, and Murder slowly but surely losing this army. There's a ton of Corruptors as well. They're cleaning up the medevacs, and I feel like Murder is in a lot of trouble. Might have to give the GG here.
Yeah, I think Murder had a valiant effort right now, but I mean, he just simply didn't do enough damage, or he didn't take care of those Infestors. Infestors just able to constantly drop Infested Terrans, putting a lot of pressure, and it never really felt like Murder knew when to attack this bottom left-hand side of the map. It is completely exposed, essentially, but every time you try to move down in that position, Baneling or Zerglings were able to do a very nice, strong counterattack. It looks like the Zerglings and the Marines, even a Ghost trying to join in on this fight, and just going to simply walk up into this base that essentially has nothing, not even any drones here, as there is now 1 medevac in the group.
Yeah, and their Ultras taking on the 3rd as well, so Machine down to 53. You're going to have to give the GG shortly here, just as a few Ghosts. Maybe their snipes are going to go off and hope for some miracle. But he's going to have Broodlords and Corruptors knocking on his front door in just a moment. And Murder, who was so impressive against LZ and against In Control there, just was never able to do the economic damage to Machine that he really needed to do. And Machine has taken down 59 workers so far compared to 27, and it's just been a macro boss this game on a big macro map in Antigua Shipyard.
Yeah, right now, Machine with over 13,000 resources in his army, not yet quite maxed. We'll see what he decides to add to this group. Another Broodlord and getting another hatchery once again. But Machine must know that he is in just a dominant position at this time. Oh, a fungal growth hitting multiple SCVs.
Oh, wow.
And that may be the end of it. Ghosts are going to try to make their way out. 1 Viking, but that 1 Viking, unless it has all the time in the world, does not stand a chance.
There's the GG, playing to almost his last unit there, 29 to 191, and Machine, he was pretty impressive there. He defended against those drops quite well. I mean, he was aided a little bit by some miscontrol by Murder in certain points there, but Machine, you have to hand it to him. He knew his opponent was going for drops. He invested in those spine crawlers, split his units, and even without mutas was able to shut those drops down. Techs up to tier 3, had that strong initial push to take down the middle base, but then sort of abandoned his tier 3 for a while, traded sort of cost effectively with the Terran player back and forth through that mid into late game, and then finally with those Broodlords, it was sort of like surprise Broodlords came out there at the end, was able to put the nail in the coffin, but a nice run there by Murder taking on 2 opponents.